All right, let's talk about Ennis Rakestraw Jr. I already made a video on Terrion Arnold, the first round pick by the Lions that they had, but Rakestraw is another really interesting guy in my opinion. He's someone that I believe, if I remember correctly, I had him as a top 50 prospect. He fell to 61 with the Lions, so I really do like this selection, as I think he could do some nice things for them. They desperately needed not just cornerback starters, but cornerback depth. And the question, I think, is can he be a starter, or is he just going to be a good depth piece? Either way, you'll take it. But that's what I'm going to explore in today's videos. What is the ceiling for him right now? Forget about years from now. What can he do to help out the Lions as they try to win a Super Bowl this year? So first, this play was really good, in my opinion. This was a play that I saw on Twitter of like, oh, wow, Malik Neighbors finding out the NFL is harder than college. Well, I think people tend to not look at the name on the back of the corner's jersey, but it's Rakestraw. You see when this play begins, Neighbors going for using his speed, right? This is something that Neighbors did so much in college. He could just blow by guys. He's not running a go route, but because he's making it seem like he is, a lot of times corners are kind of in a situation where they have nothing that they can do other than completely turn their backs towards the quarterback, run as fast as they can, and so when Neighbors stops, then you kind of take an extra step and get out of position. And here, Drew Lock decides not to throw it because, I don't know, he's Drew Lock, that's what he does, but I don't know if it would have gone too well even if he had thrown it. It still would have been the right decision, given it's a 3rd and 3, but Rakestraw was kind of there. Like, it was, at the very least, really good coverage. Maybe a great throw and great catch, but you can still get the first down, but like that's what he would have forced in that situation. Also heading over to something like this. So this is once again going to be, it's Malik Neighbors who he is going up against one-on-one on this play. And the way it's designed to work is it's man coverage across the board. Just going to be a slant route right here on a 3rd down and 10. That's worth noting. The broadcast is wrong on this with the line. They're trying to get to the 29-yard line. So disregard the yellow line. But when his play begins, watch how Rakestraw, again, Neighbors goes for more of an inside leverage type move right here, but Rakestraw just all over it. Again, could there be a completion here? Sure, you could get a couple yards, but it's 3rd and 10. That's not helping you that much, especially with where you're at in the field. That's not even giving you enough yards to maybe go for it on 4th down. Because of this, Lock's going to throw elsewhere. I mean, that's just, again, it's really good coverage here by Rakestraw against a guy who, I mean, I made a video on Malik Neighbors right when right when this game happened, because like he's the guy we're all looking at. Part of the reason why he didn't have a catch was Drew Lock not throwing it to him when he was open, but also because of, Rakestraw doing some good stuff. Now let's talk about something that is a concern of mine. I did have one critique of what I saw from him in the preseason that I do want to get into. It's something you see actually pretty frequently with young corners, is figuring this aspect out. A guy who I always think about who never figured it out was Damon Arnett of the Raiders, who was someone who was a first-round pick many thought shouldn't have been, and then kind of his issue was what Rakestraw is going to do on display. You see who he's covering, where he's up, but it's worth mentioning this is zone coverage. And typically for Rakestraw, the area you want to cover is going to be 5 to 15 yards down the field. That's the main area you want to cover. So it would be, on this specific play, kind of around the 25 to 35 yard line. In that area is what you want to make sure you take away. So when this play begins, Lock's going to run a play action, and you see he's standing right on that 35-yard line. And in college, this is probably usually how he would play this, because the quarterbacks didn't have as big of an arm, and if they tried to make a throw at, say, to the 27-yard line, for example, Rakestraw could just take a step back, leap up, and knock it away. But at the NFL level, the arms are just so much bigger. I don't think you can really get away with this as much. I would want him to be another stride further back, personally. And the Lions defensive coordinators are looking at this and paying attention and all that stuff for sure. Here, once again, Drew Lock just not paying attention. It was an open player, though. Like, that could have been a big completion had things gone wrong. So, in my opinion, that is something that if I'm in the Lions organization, I'm pointing that out, saying like, hey, I think you got to be a little bit more aggressive on these plays, because it didn't matter this one. But like going over here, there are going to be points when I think it does end up being a bad thing. What's happening here, you see that it is again going to be a zone coverage play. and watch how he creates contact at the line there, but then again, kind of peels back, and that throw should have been complete. It was dropped there, but like that should have been a completion. Kind of, again, a weird play for sure, where it gets batted up and then gets dropped. So it wasn't like, again, bizarre situation right there, but that should have been a completion. And for Rakestraw, it's zone coverage. It's not like he's just getting burned on these plays, but I think that he needs to, in my opinion, be a little bit further back so that way he can potentially make these throws more difficult. That's how I would want him to play. Of course, totally a fixable mistake. Doesn't always get fixed, though, so that's why I'm bringing it up. But also, I kind of wanted to then go to this play. So it's actually the very next play, interestingly enough. So you might say, okay, well, now he's going to be playing real cautious here right after that. Well, on this one, it's actually a bit of a different concept. He doesn't have help right behind him, but watch how he's going to play this. Again, he's going to use contact to slow down the receiver, but this time it works. And now he's in a position where if the receiver has more speed than him, perhaps he can run by Rakestraw. That is the concern. However, as you see, that just doesn't happen, and he's all over it. I mean, that was just, he completely took that receiver out of the play. So, like I said, this is mostly positive. There was the one issue I want to bring up because that's how I do this, is I don't just say the positives, I say the positives and negatives, give my evaluation on the tape. But yeah, I think this stuff is just really good in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, listen, I have my nitpicks, right, which I'm just usually going to have with this stuff. It's very hard to have a completely perfect game, but for the most part, I actually think I was really pleasantly surprised with Rakestraw's performance. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to say, okay, he should be a starter day one just based off of this, if you didn't already have him as that, but like, at least as of right now, I'm not that concerned. I think him and Arnold both played really well right away, and it's good because for corners, people always kind of view it the wrong way and think you just need 2 good guys. No, you need like 6 good guys. Like, the reason why the Belichick defenses were always successful for so long wasn't by having, sure, they would have their occasional, Gilmore, right? But like, for the most part, it was just having a lot of depth there and making sure you had guys who can do different things. So for Rakestraw, being just one of the now many players they have in the secondary is a really important aspect of how this Lions team could potentially, if they're trying to win a Super Bowl, they're going to need depth there. And Rakestraw's a guy who I think, I think they could have used him last year from what I've seen so far in college and then also here. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on Ennis Rakestraw Jr. in his first game with the Detroit Lions. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.